Welcome to Jazz Arranging class. Today we are going to test your jazz composer and arranging knowledge with a quiz, set in a modern podcast format. This video will not only test your knowledge about jazz music's greatest arrangers and composers, but it will also teach you a few key moments in jazz history as well. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Let's get started.
Welcome to our deep dive all about jazz history.
Sounds like fun.
We're going to be going through some questions from a jazz history quiz that was submitted to us.
Oh, cool.
So we're going to use this quiz as our outline and really just explore some of these different facets of jazz history.
Okay.
Whether you consider yourself like a jazz aficionado or you're just starting out and just getting to know the music.
Yeah.
I think there's something here for everyone.
Definitely. I think, there's so much more to jazz than just the names and dates,
right,
like you said. So I think each one of these questions is kind of like a springboard to just talk about the whole world of other really fascinating details and connections.
It's a lot more interesting than like just saying who did this or when did this happen.
Right, exactly.
There's so many stories behind all of that.
For sure.
Okay, so our first question takes us back to 1938.
Okay.
To Benny Goodman's legendary Carnegie Hall concert. And, you can just imagine the energy in that room must have been electric.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So the question is, whose arrangements were really essential to making this concert such a landmark event? Was it A, Duke Ellington?
Okay.
B, S.I. Oliver?
All right.
C, Fletcher Henderson? Or D, Gil Evans?
I'm going to have to go with Fletcher Henderson.
You are absolutely right.
Nice.
It was Fletcher Henderson.
Really?
And, Benny Goodman was a phenomenal clarinetist, but arranging wasn't really his forte.
Yeah.
And so, he recognized Henderson's genius and really brought him on board.
Right.
Which actually, this really highlights how important arrangers were, especially in terms of like bridging some of the racial divides of the time.
Oh, that's a great point. Yeah, because Goodman, like you said, he wasn't an arranger, but he recognized just how talented Fletcher Henderson was. And by really championing his work and bringing him in to arrange for his band, he kind of helped pave the way for a wider recognition of Black musicians at a time when, the music industry was still very segregated.
And it's a good reminder that, jazz history is not just about the music.
Yeah.
It really reflects those social and cultural dynamics of the times.
Exactly.
Okay, so ready for question number 2?
Yeah, let's do it.
This one's about a major achievement in jazz history.
Okay.
What was the title of the first jazz composition to win a Pulitzer Prize?
Oh, wow.
Was it A, Black, Brown, and Beige by Duke Ellington? B, Sketches of Spain by Miles Davis?
Okay.
C, Blood on the Fields by Wynton Marsalis? Or D, Epitaph by Charles Mingus?
I think this one is Blood on the Fields by Wynton Marsalis.
You are exactly right.
Okay, good.
This was a huge moment for jazz.
It was.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the piece and why it was so groundbreaking?
Yeah, so Blood on the Fields is a 3-hour-long oratorio.
Wow.
Which is kind of like an opera, but without the costumes and staging. And it tells this incredibly powerful and moving story about the history of slavery in America.
Wow.
Through music, spoken word, and song.
Yeah, that must have been like an intense and unforgettable experience.
Definitely. It was one of those pieces that stayed with you long after the music ended.
And for it to win a Pulitzer Prize in 1997 speaks volumes about its artistic merit and its cultural significance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really a landmark achievement.
Okay, speaking of influential figures, our next question spotlights a true jazz legend.
Okay.
Which jazz standard was famously performed on live television by John Coltrane in 1961?
All right.
Was it A, Giant Steps,
Okay.
B, Naima, C, Blue Train,
Right.
or D, My Favorite Things?
I'm going to go with My Favorite Things.
You got it.
Okay.
Can you believe that he took this whimsical tune from The Sound of Music
I know.
and just transformed it into this jazz masterpiece?
It's amazing.
It's incredible.
Yeah, his version is just iconic, and it's so fascinating how he took like this very simple melody
Right.
and then completely transformed it through improvisation, and he wasn't afraid to experiment.
No, he was not.
Yeah.
And this also introduced a lot of people to modal jazz.
That's right.
Which instead of sticking to these traditional chord changes, he kind of used scales or modes.
Yeah. To create these vast soundscapes
That's a good way to put it.
Almost like painting with sound.
Yeah.
Just evoking these different moods and emotions.
Totally. And, you can also really hear his spiritual side shining through in the music as well.
Yeah.
Like he was exploring some really profound ideas through his playing.
Absolutely. Okay, so question number 4 takes us back to the big band era.
Okay.
And it shines a light on a figure who might not be as well known,
Okay.
but played a key role in shaping that iconic big band sound,
All right.
which lesser-known arranger created many of the scores for Glenn Miller's orchestra. Was it A, Nelson Riddle,
Okay.
B, Johnny Mandel, C, Bill Finnegan, or D, Billy Strayhorn?
This one's a bit tricky for me. I'm going to take a guess and say Nelson Riddle.
It's actually Bill Finnegan.
Bill Finnegan. Okay.
Yeah.
I should have known that.
It's just amazing how many talented people
Yeah.
worked behind the scenes
For sure.
in these big bands.
Yeah. And sometimes the arrangers don't get the same recognition as the band leaders,
Right.
but their contributions were just essential.
Absolutely. Bill Finnegan might not be a household name
Right.
like Glenn Miller is,
Right.
but he was a master of orchestration. He knew how to write for every instrument in the band and create these really lush and intricate arrangements that gave them that signature sound.
It makes you want to kind of dig a little deeper and discover more about these unsung heroes.
I know, me too. And Finnegan's work was full of clever counter melodies and just these unexpected harmonic twists.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, shall we move on to question number 5?
Absolutely. Let's see what's next on our jazz history journey.
So this one brings us to the world of contemporary jazz,
Okay.
which contemporary arranger leads the Yellow Jackets and has written extensively for big bands. Is it A, Bob Florent,
Okay.
B, Bob Mintzer,
Right.
C, Rob McConnell,
Okay.
or D, Maria Schneider?
I'm pretty sure that's Bob Mintzer.
You nailed it.
Okay.
Bob Mintzer is a true force in the jazz world. I mean, he's not only an amazing saxophonist,
Right.
but he's also a gifted composer and arranger.
And what's so cool about Mintzer is just how he bridges that gap between that classic big band sound and, more modern jazz styles.
Yeah.
And leading the Yellow Jackets, a group that, is really known for their fusion of jazz and funk and world music, just shows how versatile he is.
He really embodies that spirit of pushing boundaries while staying connected to those jazz roots.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now get ready for a little bit of a personal story.
Okay.
Question number 6 takes us into those close-knit relationships between musicians.
All right.
What nickname did Billie Holiday famously give to her longtime musical partner, Lester Young?
Oh.
Was it A, Yardbird,
Okay.
B, Satchmo,
All right.
C, the Hawk, or D, Prez?
It was Prez, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Short for president.
Yeah, I love that nickname.
Me too.
It just speaks to that deep respect and admiration they had for each other.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. They had this incredible musical connection.
Yeah.
You can really hear it in their recordings. Like
Yeah.
they could anticipate each other's improvisations.
Right.
And create these incredibly moving and intimate duets.
Yeah, their story really reminds us that, jazz is often about these really deep personal connections between musicians.
For sure.
They inspire each other, they support each other, and, together they create something truly magical.
It's more than just the music. It's a relationship.
Okay, so ready to dive back into the world of big bands?
Yeah. Let's go for it.
This one focuses on a band leader who was known for his really innovative use of instrumentation,
Okay.
which jazz orchestra was known for their pioneering use of the flugelhorn in the 1950s. Was it A, the Count Basie Orchestra,
All right.
B, the Woody Herman Herd, C, the Benny Goodman Orchestra,
Okay.
or D, the Stan Kenton Orchestra?
Yeah, it would have to be Stan Kenton.
You are right on the money. Stan Kenton was a true innovator. He was not afraid to experiment with sound and texture,
Yeah.
and he really saw the unique qualities that the flugelhorn could bring to the orchestra.
It's interesting. It's like the flugelhorn has a softer, warmer tone than the trumpet does.
Right.
And, Kenton used it very strategically to create these lush, almost orchestral soundscapes.
And he didn't stop there. I mean, he incorporated elements of Latin music,
Wow.
even classical music, into his big band arrangements.
Yeah, he was pushing the boundaries.
Yeah, his band was known for this really powerful sound, sometimes even bordering on bombastic.
Really?
Okay, ready for our final question in this jazz history exploration.
Bring it on.
This one highlights how interconnected jazz history is.
Hmm.
The way that musical ideas just flow and evolve over time.
Yeah.
Which iconic jazz piece features a riff that's said to have been borrowed from an earlier blues song by the incredibly talented Mary Lou Williams.
Oh, wow.
Was it A, Take the A Train,
Okay.
B Straight, No Chaser,
Right.
C, In the Mood, or D, 1 O'Clock Jump?
That would be 1 o'clock jump.
You nailed it.
Okay.
It's just fascinating how Mary Lou Williams, this pioneering pianist and composer, influenced Count Basie's signature tune.
And she was such an important figure in jazz history.
She really was.
Mentoring so many greats like Thelonious Monk and Bud Powell.
Yeah.
And, she was a true innovator, pushing the boundaries of jazz harmony and rhythm.
It's amazing how one seemingly simple question can unlock all these fascinating stories and connections in jazz history.
It really shows how, the music is constantly evolving, building upon what came before it.
And it makes you wonder about all those stories that are still waiting to be discovered.
Right.
All the musicians who deserve more recognition.
Absolutely. That's the beauty of jazz.
Yeah.
There's always something new to explore, something that will surprise you and delight you.
Well, we've reached the end of our jazz history deep dive.
Wow, that went by fast.
But before we wrap things up, I have one final thought-provoking question for you. Well, we've talked about these iconic figures, these influential arrangers.
Right.
But what about those hidden gems? Those lesser-known artists who might not be household names, but who are keeping that spirit of jazz alive and well?
Yeah.
Think about your local scene, maybe a particular era you're interested in.
Right.
Who are some of those musicians that you think deserve more recognition? It's a chance to celebrate those unsung heroes and, the vibrant diversity of this incredible art form.
That's a fantastic question to consider.
Yeah?
Jazz is a living, breathing art form, and its history is still being written.
That's right.
I encourage everyone listening to seek out new artists, explore different styles, and, keep the conversation going.
Beautifully said. Thanks for joining us on this jazz history adventure.
Yeah, this was fun.
It's been a joy sharing these stories and insights with you.
The pleasure was all mine.
And on that note, happy listening and keep swinging.